Robert Kennedy Jr., head of the nation's health department, is in the hot seat on Capitol Hill today. He's expected to testify in front of a Senate committee amid upheaval about the CDC and the wave of questions about vaccines. Joining us now is NBC Washington correspondent Alice Barr. Alice, hello, first of all, and what do we expect to come out of today's appearance?
Good morning, Chesley. Yeah, this is really going to be a heated one, I anticipate, and we're less than an hour away from the anticipated start of this Capitol Hill grilling. In the lead up to today, Democrats compiled an outline of the secretary's promises during his confirmation that they say he's now broken, that he has not lived up to. And Democrats are not alone. There have been a number of Republicans that have voiced concern about just the deep turmoil that we've seen at the Centers for Disease Control, the nation's top public health agency. And among them, the Senate's top Republican, John Thune, questioned the firing of Centers for Disease Control Director Dr. Susan Menares just 1 month into the job after she'd been confirmed by the Senate. John Thune called for stability, and he added that supporting vaccines should not be disqualifying for the new CDC head amid an overhaul to the nation's vaccine approval process and new restrictions on COVID shots that pushed other top CDC officials to resign in protest. So all of those issues really boiling up right now, and all expected to be the kinds of things that senators in both parties are going to be grilling Secretary Kennedy about in, again, a little bit less than an hour. He is a longtime vaccine skeptic. He has said that the CDC made missteps during the pandemic and has defended the shakeup at the agency. He's going to do that again today.
Yeah, you mentioned it's bipartisan. You mentioned that, and in this uproar on both sides, you'll get questions from both. You reported that one senator that we need to watch is the Republican Bill Cassidy.
Yeah, he's a very interesting figure in all of this, in no small part because he's a physician himself. He voiced concern about Secretary Kennedy's vaccine skepticism throughout his confirmation hearing. It took a while to get him to agree to confirm Secretary Kennedy, and at the time he said that he'd secured promises from Kennedy on a number of issues, specifically about the vaccine approval process. And in the wake of that, as we've started to see the changes that have happened, including firing a number of people from a key vaccine advisory committee, Senator Cassidy has called for oversight of all this turnover at the CDC, and he chairs the health committee that would be in charge of oversight there. And he's raised questions about the scientific process, specifically in that key vaccine advisory committee. He's asked to delay the next meeting until some of this can be sorted out. So the way that he approaches Secretary Kennedy today will be interesting. In the lead up the last couple of days, he's sort of been hands off and has said, we're just trying to get to the truth. We shouldn't presuppose anything. And he's going to go in with a battery of questions along with his colleagues.
All right, we're waiting for that. This comes to states are now staking out their own rules. Talk about Florida announcing that it would eliminate all state vaccine mandates, including in schools.
Yeah, this is another major development, making Florida the first to get rid of vaccine mandates. You know, talk about if you have kids who may have just started school within the past few weeks, you have to have a certain number of vaccines that you agree that they're going to take on. I mean, polio, measles, all kinds of things. And that's not going to be the case in Florida anymore. And there's already discussion that Texas might follow suit. We've heard concerns from a number of people in the medical community, specifically pointing to this year's measles outbreak in Texas that led to the deaths of 2 unvaccinated school-aged children. And there are those saying the more unvaccinated kids you have in schools, the more the likelihood is that we could see that kind of thing. Yeah. Blue states, California, Washington, and Oregon are now planning to coordinate their vaccine recommendations separate from the federal government. They say they think there's too much ideology there. Of course, HHS rejects that, but it just points to the fractured state of public health, Chesley.
All right, Alice, thanks so much for your insight today. Appreciate it.